This is VOA Africa.
Hello, I'm Esther Githui-Ewart. It's Tuesday, March 16th. Welcome to Africa 54. We continue to work remotely because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But what hasn't changed is our commitment to bringing you the latest and most important news from the African continent and around the world. This is today's Africa 54. The race to vaccinate citizens against COVID-19 is ongoing across the globe, but the vaccination campaign has not been without challenges. Germany, France, and Italy are the latest European countries to halt the rollout of the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine, following reports of possible adverse side effects. However, the World Health Organization says the drug is safe. Henry Ridgwell has our report.
France, Germany and Italy joined several other European Union member states in halting the rollout of the AstraZeneca vaccine program Monday.
Today's decision is a purely precautionary measure.
It follows Norway's announcement Saturday that one person had died from a brain hemorrhage and 3 others were hospitalized with blood clots shortly after receiving the jab.
So far, we cannot speak to whether the cases are connected to the vaccine, but due to the seriousness of the cases, we are investigating thoroughly.
Other countries outside Europe have also paused AstraZeneca vaccinations, including Congo and Indonesia. The World Health Organization says there is no evidence that the AstraZeneca vaccine causes blood clots and urged countries to continue using the jab.
Of the 330 million vaccines doses that have been deployed, we are not aware of any one confirmed COVID vaccine-related death. There have been deaths following vaccination in people, but people die of diseases every day.
Out of the 17 million people in Europe who have received its vaccine, AstraZeneca says fewer than 40 have developed blood clots. The vaccine is a key pillar of many countries' mass inoculation programs. It is relatively cheap and doesn't need to be stored at ultra-low temperatures. Nigerian health workers began to receive the AstraZeneca vaccine Friday.
We don't believe that this information is a reason for us to slow down our COVID-19 vaccination response.
Scientists fear the halt in vaccinations could hit global confidence in the jab.
It clearly has to be investigated. I think the big concern, though, is that we do know that even especially at a time when the disease is still actually very common and increasing across a number of European countries, that ultimately any delay in vaccinations will lead to more severe cases and more deaths.
The investigations into reported side effects could have unintended consequences, says Hunter.
One of the problems as well is that as soon as you start worrying about a particular adverse outcome, then more people are likely to report that outcome, and you can actually almost generate a false impression of an epidemic.
The AstraZeneca vaccine has just received official approval in Brazil, one of the countries worst hit by the pandemic. It has yet to be authorized for use in the United States. Henry Ridgwell for VOA News, London.
More than 4 million people have been infected with COVID-19 in Africa. Although over 100,000 have died, initial predictions of the impact of the virus in Africa were far worse. Now, experts are raising the alarm as many countries have seen a second wave of the pandemic. Leaders and health authorities in the continent are ramping up efforts to contain the pandemic and ensure that initial predictions do not come true. Africa 54 health correspondent Linord Moudou sat down in an exclusive interview with the World Health Organization's Director General Tedros Adhanom Gebreyesus. They discussed Africa's experience and efforts to contain the coronavirus.
Dr. Gebreyesus, how do you assess the COVID response in Africa? I think the COVID response is going okay. The first wave was better for our continent, for Africa, actually. The second phase was more serious. That started in January 2021. And then there was a period of starting from late January, started to decline. And now we see some tendency again to increase. We need to do the basic things like what we have been doing, the use of masks, the physical distancing, the hand hygiene, and we need to continue to do that. And we need to continue our surveillance also. We need to find where the virus is and try to attack. So continuing with the public health measures will be important. But I have some concern that there is a slight increase now. It's not a significant one, but the tendency should be taken seriously. But this is not just for Africa alone. If you see the global trend, it was declining until mid-February. And now we can see the last 3 weeks, some slight increase. This could be explained in many ways. As I said, maybe some countries are lowering their guard, that they have to be very careful. Second, it could be the variant, and there could be other issues. So we have to understand why.
Although the continent has not been spared by the deadly pandemic, Africa has seen less cases of infections and death compared to the rest of the world. What do you make of it?
I think the combination of many factors actually help. One, the population is young. And second, Africa actually started as early as possible, preparing itself and responding. The early action was not just individual country level only, but it was a continental-wide coordinated effort. That also helps. And the fourth is Africa, our continent, is regularly challenged by many infectious diseases. It could be yellow fever, meningitis, cholera, Ebola, you name it. So the primary health care or the public health system is better prepared, so it can respond fast.
South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa was appointed as the African Union champion for the COVID-19 response. The country has been hardest hit in Africa by COVID. What is the significance of his appointment for the response on the continent?
I can say that he earned that position or that championship because of what he did in the past 1 year. One of the reasons I said why Africa did better is because of the quick action. And this would not have been possible without his leadership. As you know, the past year he has been chairing the African Union. And I remember the first meeting, I attended that meeting, and to design a continental strategy. During that time, there was only one confirmed case, I think, in Egypt. And he pushed for that early, quick response. And that meeting resulted into a continental strategy. And then he formed a Bureau of Leadership that's composed of regional leaders from all corners of our continent. And then he immediately appointed special envoys that can take care of the supply of medicine, mobilizing resources, and people who can lead in other efforts. Very renowned Africans, actually, as special envoys. But not only continental, but he also was leading the global effort. As you may know, South Africa and Norway, President Ramaphosa and Prime Minister Erna Solberg co-chair the Facilitation Council of the ACT Accelerator. And he contributed also to the global response. I'm very proud of President Ramaphosa on what he did, and that's why Africa really fared well. And I know through this appointment he will continue to lead with his colleagues, heads of state, heads of government, leaders in our continent.
In the next installment of the interview with Africa 54 health correspondent Linord Moudou, WHO's Director General Tedros Adhanom Gebreyesus discusses the impact of COVID variants in the global strategy to contain the pandemic and what is being done to help low and middle income countries have equitable access to COVID vaccines. In South Africa, the pandemic poses an even greater challenge for the estimated 3 million people who classify as disabled. VOA's Anita Powell in Johannesburg brings us this story of the unique toll the coronavirus pandemic has taken on this community. Please be advised, the scenes in this story may be disturbing.
Marie-Louise Ganyile was born with albinism, low vision, and poor hearing. When she realized at 29 she was going completely blind, a sense of helplessness drove her to attempt suicide. Now, with the hardship of the pandemic bearing down on her 2 decades later, she is again stressed. But this time she's not defeated. She's angry.
Our government doesn't care about us. That COVID, I did not hear anyone or from the radio or from the TV to say the government there is a workshop or anything to help the people living with disability. I didn't hear anything. So to me, our government, they just put us behind.
Ganyile runs an association that teaches disabled South Africans how to start small businesses. But the pandemic has made that an uphill battle. Pandemic restrictions have deeply affected blind South Africans who say they are losing something they've spent decades building, their independence. Members of that community say lockdowns and social distancing limit how other people can physically guide them. Gloves, masks, and sanitizers blunt their valuable senses of smell and touch. One effect of COVID-19 is especially troublesome.
If you walk, so for instance in a mall or on a street, the different smells from different shops let you know where you are. You're orientating yourself with the smell, which is coming through the wind, which the wind is carrying through. So yes, it also sometimes makes a difference. And even worse, if you are identified with COVID, they say the smell is going, so then you've got another disability.
Bronwen Jones started a home for young burn victims, many of whom are blind. Her daughter Dora, whom she adopted as a young child, was badly burned as an infant. She is blind and disfigured. Her mother lives in fear of what will happen if Dora gets the coronavirus.
The powers that be would probably say she could die because they don't care about very disabled people and they don't want to spend money on them. And they make a judgment about highly disabled people and they think their lives aren't worth living. So that is brutally scary, that they think people's lives are worth nothing.
Running an institution for disabled children is even harder during this pandemic, says Jones. Donations have dried up, and keeping the children safe from viral exposure is a constant challenge. But Jones says, when she's down, she looks to the strongest person she knows.
Dora, if you think this COVID year has been really tough, can you nod your head?
Mm-hmm. These children, disability advocates say, have already mastered something that their abled compatriots are only now learning how to do: survive. Anita Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.
Would like to hear what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, how women are adding value to Mali's cotton industry. Stay with us.
Health, wellness, sport, beauty, medical breakthroughs. Healthy Living cares about your well-being. What are the main health concerns in Africa and around the world? Find out the latest on coronavirus. Connect with our experts and ask them questions.
How long does the virus stay?
Join me, Linord Moudou, in Washington, every week on Healthy Living, right here on VOA.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Sudan's Prime Minister has written to the African Union the United Nations, the European Union, and the United States to formally request their mediation on the Nile water being used to fill the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. According to Sudanese Foreign Ministry, Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok expressed concern over Ethiopia's stated intention of adding more water to the reservoir behind the hydropower dam for a second year in letters sent on Saturday. Libya's first unity government in years was sworn in on Monday in the eastern city of Tobruk. The new administration is charged with unifying the country after years of violence and division and overseeing the run-up to the national elections. The government, which emerged through a United Nations dialogue process and was ratified last week in a frontline city, is seen as providing Libya's best hope in years for an end to a decade of chaos since a NATO-backed uprising toppled Muammar Gaddafi. Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Dibeibe took the oath of office in front of members of parliament. His new government will replace the government of national unity, which was recognized by the United Nations and controlled Tripoli and northwest Libya, and a rival administration based in the east. Mali is one of Africa's largest cotton growers, but most of its harvest is shipped abroad. Now, a women's cooperative is working to add more value to that cotton at home. VOA's Bagasi Kura takes us there.
Dozens of women are cleaning and spinning cotton at this outdoor workshop in the town of Kati. The women are part of a collective that allows them to work here when their hectic schedules allow. Geneba Traore founded the cotton weaving group, the FAIDA Association, in 2015. She says the collective flexibility allows women to earn more money from their other jobs, whether those jobs are outside or inside their homes.
No one has given up since we created this group. Each day, each one cooks for her husband before coming to do this work.
Farmers in Mali grew 700,000 tons of cotton last year, almost all of it for export, making cotton the country's second biggest product behind gold. The women in Kati buy raw cotton from local farmers as an investment in what they call Mali's white gold.
My job is to brush the cotton. When the cotton arrives, we separate the fibers from its seeds. And we are the ones who brush it and pass it on to those who do the spinning.
Weaving at the FAIDA Association is limited to a single loom donated by Qatar. It produces at most 15 meters of fabric a day.
If we had several of these, we would produce much more. Our wish is to make this place into a center. Many young girls don't go to school, and I would like to bring them here to do this work. It would be good to teach this vocation in schools.
Traore says school uniform could be made from Malian cotton fabric instead of using imported material. This would benefit more Malian cotton farmers and weaving cooperatives like hers. Bagasi Kura, VOA News, Kati, Mali.
The complicated war in Syria between Russian and Iranian-backed government forces and rebels supported by the US and Turkey has now lasted 10 devastating years. It has created millions of refugees, thousands of whom now live in the US. Kulsum Khan spoke with some of them in this story, narrated by VOA's Bejan Hamdard.
Or just add them like on the top.
The Al-Madani family resettled in Chicago in 2016 after fleeing their native Syria. The 10th anniversary of the ongoing civil war brings back many painful memories.
It's long time, and it's make me feel very dissatisfied and sadness. I miss my country, of course. Miss my family, my mother, my father.
No, it's this way. Muhammad Al-Madani was only 7 or 8 years old when his home was attacked.
The only memory I have was first hearing gunfire, then glass of our home came down the stairs, and that was the only time I believe I remember seeing actual fire in front of my eyes.
Anas Aluz's family resettled in northeastern Pennsylvania after escaping the war.
Before the war, it was very, very, very nice country. It was amazing country. The war destroyed it. This is before, and this is after.
Aluz experienced a lot of trauma after the war started. He lost relatives and friends.
I used to sleep when I'm thinking about this stuff, like the blood over there, what happening, this and that. So I used to wake up screaming. Sometimes I spend nights without sleeping. I basically spend nights I can't even sleep.
Syrian refugees in the U.S. still remain hopeful that peace and stability will come back to their homeland one day.
I wish the war end and every human being can live their rights and freedom.
Presidential elections are set to take place in Syria this spring. For Kulsum Khan in Chicago, Illinois, Bejan Hamdard, VOA News.
A growing number of companies are making products with the environment in mind. VOA's Julie Tabo learned about an item finder made from ocean trash.
If you're one of those people who are always losing track of your personal belongings, the Chipolo Bluetooth-based item finder is designed to help. It works when Chipolo is attached to an item like a wallet or a backpack. When you connect it via Bluetooth to the Chipolo app on your phone, you can search for your missing item by opening the app and tapping Ring to Find, and the object will start to ring.
Ring the remote.
Sure. But Chipolo is in a crowded market with Tile and other competitors, including Samsung. It's found a way to stand out, though, with its Chipolo One Ocean Edition, made from trash found in the ocean, specifically recyclable fishing nets.
Our products are made of plastic, and even though they are very small and we are not contributing a lot of plastic consumption, we still felt that we should be environmentally responsible and conscious.
With the help of OceanWorks, an organization that aims to rid the world of plastic waste, the recovered plastic is pulled from shallow waters and turned into pellets to create the outside casing.
By incorporating ocean plastics into their product, it really sends a message to not only consumers, but other businesses that really anything is possible and you can start small and have really big results.
Chipolo also recently donated $10,000 to Oceanic Global, a nonprofit organization that supports ocean cleanup efforts.
On average, a plastic item takes between 500 and 1,000 years to break down. That's why it's so important that companies like Chipolo are finding innovative ways of actually using this existing plastic.
Harmful plastic trash in our oceans and seas is growing at an alarming rate. Single-use plastic products, as well as plastics found in lost and abandoned fishing gear, make up about 70% of all marine litter, according to the International Solid Waste Association. Companies are tapping into these concerns. Adidas has a shoe line from ocean plastics. The carpeting in an upcoming SUV, the Fisker Ocean, also comes from recovered ocean plastics and fishing rope. In the meantime, Chipolo is feeling good about the small contribution it's making to a large global problem.
We are not just selling a product that's made out of the recycled fishing nets, but we are also spreading awareness about the ocean pollution itself. So maybe we are also encouraging other companies to start thinking about it and also make products that are made out of the recycled plastic instead of the virgin materials.
Julie Tabo, VOA News.
A virtual music competition with real prizes. This is the concept of a new music platform called Jockey. Both amateur and professional songwriters and musicians from around the world are invited to participate for free. Maria Prus has the story.
A global song contest on your mobile device. That's what a new platform called Jockey is offering musicians who get a chance to win fans around the world and cash prizes of up to $10,000. Hollywood producer and sound engineer Brian Malouf says the winner also gets another big prize.
And the winner, the first place winner, wins a recording session at an iconic recording studio, Capitol here in LA. And we decide what song we're going to record. Now, what would typically also happen during that week is I would set up meetings for them with publishers, other A&R people, managers, social media mavens, press relations executives.
The startup idea was born after the pandemic forced the closure of music venues and cancellation of contests, says Juki co-founder Andrew Dachovsky.
The idea of a global online song contest came when we first heard that Eurovision 2020 would be cancelled for the first time in the last 64 years. And immediately, we came up with the idea of a global song contest, which is not dependent on quarantine or states closing borders.
This is how Juki works. Musicians from around the world upload their songs to the app and invite fans to support them. The song or artist with the most votes wins a weekly contest. Every 3 months, there is a grand finale where fans and a special jury of international music experts select a winner. Previous winners hail from the US, Peru, and a band from Kazakhstan. The app also takes an egalitarian approach and considers all songs, even ones recorded on smartphones.
We have poor quality songs from different countries from artists who probably couldn't go to a studio and pay for a quality demo. It doesn't matter at all. The quality of the recording might be poor, but the idea behind the composition might be great. So we're judging by the quality of the idea.
For now, because of the lockdown, winners can't make it to California, but the app creators say they will have plenty planned for them in LA as soon as it's safe to travel.
I'd say that this is a place to be because good things can happen to you. And if you're not in it, if you're not in the place where something good could happen to you, chances are you could miss out on something. And because it's such a competitive environment.
While the app certainly offers very promising prizes for the musicians, it also helps connect performers from around the world in one digital place, something that in today's COVID reality is extremely precious. Maria Prus for VOA News, Washington.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, we thank you for watching.